I'm Rachel Fishback with Swine Web here at FeedFlo. They are here at the World Pork Expo, and I'd like to take the time to talk to Casey. Casey, talk about this FeedFlo system for feed pipes that you have for pork producers.
Yeah, FeedFlo is the world's only on-pipe feed sensor. It's able to measure how many pounds of feed are traveling through the pipe. So what we do for producers is first we're looking for those out-of-feed events, making sure that animals are always eating and always growing. People can get a lot of money back just by making sure that that's happening.
So, and I was looking, you were showing me what happens to, let's say, a pig when they run out of feed for a day or two. What ends up happening?
Yeah, so it ends up setting back your entire production schedule. So mortality increases, and you end up having to feed those pigs longer and feed them more feed to get them to your market weight.
For the benefits of this automatically delivering your feed, how does that help a pork producer?
Yeah, so we find that about 20% of feed outages are caused by missed deliveries. So what we do with this is we send a 5-day schedule out to your feed mill and make sure that they know exactly when you're going to need feed so you never run out.
How does it predict in 5 days?
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of really complicated math that goes into it. It's an area of science called linear programming, and so we look at all the different possibilities. Would it be better to deliver on Tuesday or Wednesday? Which is the combination of days to deliver that's going to make sure that you get through those long weekends, through those holidays without running into any problems.
So FeedFlo has some very interesting graphs that you can take a look at their different modules. Do you want to explain this to the pork producers?
Yeah, so we think of feed as a leading indicator of success. So if you're eating feed, then you're growing. And so when you have an anomaly in your barn, like heat stress, a disease, or a feed outage, you might not know how big of an impact it has on your business. So we put together this cumulative consumption graph where you can see how much those animals are eating over time. And the red here shows a serious feed outage. So what we're able to see is that the line becomes broken, essentially. The animals never catch up in their consumption, and this group of animals is permanently set back. So that either means that you're going to ship light animals and get dinged by your processing plant, or it means that you're going to have to feed those animals longer and more feed to get them to market weight.
So for anyone working with feed or grain in their processing facility or their farm, why don't you talk about how this goes onto the feed line and how it would work in the ideal situation?
Absolutely. So the FeedFlo goes inside the barn. We've designed it to be pressure washed. It's gone through many cycles of that. And what you do is you actually mount the device right on top of the pipe. So you actually cut a small hole in the pipe that allows our laser sensor to see the height of the feed, and you put FeedFlo on top of that and it seals the whole system.
To see these live results, to see the results to integrators or to the pork producer, how does it work with Wi-Fi and how do you get those results?
FeedFlo connects back to the internet. All the data is sent up to our servers, and then you can access it using our mobile app and our website. And if you need an internet connection in your barns the first time you put an internet device in, we'll actually bring the internet connection for you. We wanted to make sure that we were able to use whatever connection was available, though, because we know that all barns are in remote places that sometimes have problems connecting to landlines or to 4G. So we've designed FeedFlo to work with whatever internet connection you have, and if you don't have one, we'll bring our 4G modems and put them in.
Do these plug into a controller? Do you need a certain spot on a controller for them, or is it completely separate?
Yeah, so it's very controller agnostic. At FeedFlo, we really believe strongly that the data belongs to the grower and that they should be able to do what they want with that data. So we're very open with that, and if you want to work with your controller company or your planning software and bring this data into it, we fully encourage that and make all that data available for export.
For people who have an older barn and they're very intrigued with this information, what do they have to do to install this?
Yeah, FeedFlo is designed to retrofit onto existing systems, so you don't need to change your motors or your controllers, anything. You can put this onto any feed line, and you're essentially just good to go with it as it is. So we want to make sure that all this data is available to you. So if you want to combine it with some of your other systems, like your controllers or your data management platform, we'll send all that data over, and you can use all this feed data to help improve your business.
And then how is it getting the internet connection and power to this box?
Yeah, so we use a technology that lets us use a basic Ethernet cable, the same thing people would use to run internet through their homes, and we're able to send power and data over that same cable. So it's one cable to set it up, and you never have to change any batteries. You basically just set it up in an afternoon, and you get to forget about it after that.
So a very user-friendly program that doesn't need a lot of extra add-ons or another person to come in and install it.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that people, that sometimes it's great to have someone else come and install, so we offer that. But a lot of producers we talk to are are happy to do it themselves, and they'd really like to make sure that they're in control of their space. So we made sure it was as easy as possible to self-install.
And do these boxes, do you put close to the feed bin? Do you put it close to the feeders, or in the center lines? Like where's a good location?
Yeah, so since it measures the feed traveling past it, you want to put it before the first drop, just inside of the barn.
And you've got a fun little exercise where I'm supposed to guess the weight in the bucket. So
yeah.
Let's see.
Start off there. You can tell me how many pounds you think is in there. It's pretty heavy.
I need to go to the gym. Let's go with 12.4.
12.4, great guess.
So yeah. We've got the feed leaving the bin here, and let's talk about how this machine works for you.
Yeah, so this is our FeedFlo challenge. So if you're able to guess the weight better than FeedFlo, you're in to win a prize. Essentially what's happening here is we've got a hopper full of pellets, and it's running past the FeedFlo sensor, and we're going to run it back into a bucket and then weigh it afterwards. So that's the idea, is we're going to see who's more accurate, yourself or FeedFlo. Okay, all the feed is run through the system, and we can see the data has started to upload to our website. So what we can see here is, at first you can actually see from the bottom of the pipe, you see the auger blade go by, and you can see every time the auger blade passes. As the feed starts to fill in though, you can see the change in the laser signal. And that, combined with the speed of the auger blade, is how we actually measure how much weight is going through the system. What we'll do here is we'll start off with the weight on the scale. So you had 12.4. 15.2.
Oh, I failed.
Close though, close. That's definitely in the right ballpark. And so we're just going to wait for the next minute worth of data to upload, and then we'll get our results back from FeedFlo. So here's the results. So the scale read 15.2, and FeedFlo read exactly 15.2. So this is a really valuable way for people to understand the performance of the animals inside their barn. So this is a graph showing cumulative consumption over time. So since consumption is such a great leading indicator for success in the barn, you can see here that when there's a large anomaly, like running out of feed for a couple days, that those animals don't get back on track. So they are set back, and that's costing your business an incredible amount of money. So this is a great way to analyze any sort of problem in your barn. It could be heat stress, it could be an illness, it could be an environmental problem, and if you want to turn that into a number to understand how much it affects your business, feed and the feed consumption is a great way to understand that. So start with just the solid green line. The solid green line is showing you the total amount of consumption across that group of animals. So it's just always going up. And the projected line is the dotted line. So what we're able to do is we pick a time range that we think was typical, and it draws a straight line to be able to show where we think the performance should have been. So you can pick the size and shape of that window and adjust that over time to be able to get a good sample, and then you can see how much the impact was to the group of animals. So what I'll do here is I'll show during a stable period of growth, the straight line would draw like this. And since the animals are always eating more over the time, you should always actually be seeing them be above the dotted line. So if I drag this back to a period where there were less issues, you'll see that the animals are always outpacing the dotted line because it's just a straight line. But when you go and put that near where there was a serious feed outage, you can see that the animals never catch up to that dotted line. That's really the loss for the business.
So I know you work in a lot of different feed environments and the pork industry. How's the durability for the condensation, the power washing? How does that work?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest challenges when building FeedFlo, was building something that was incredibly robust. It's one of the harshest environments out there, the inside of a barn. And so we built this system to be completely watertight, and it's ready to be pressure washed. So we put this through the ringer to make sure that it was ready for producers, and we picked some of the nicest connectors out there to make sure that no water gets inside the system. The whole thing stays airtight.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Casey. Thank you to FeedFlo for taking the time to talk to Swine Web and myself about this wonderful project. How can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about FeedFlo? Yeah, the best way is through our website, feedflo.com. Always glad to pick up the phone and chat with producers. And do you have a dealer network yet, or is it by direct? It's by direct. Perfect. So if you would like to learn more about FeedFlo, contact Casey or feedflo.com.